Lighten you.
I will lighten you.
All right.
Hey,
We're
Biv.
on. Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. We're going to review what the cause of all this Muslim uprising is. And we're going to begin by talking about 9/11. Since everybody's using this as a reason of how the Muslims first attacked America. Now, the problem is 9/11 was an inside job. Now, you've seen how many times I've shown this clip. But we're going to review it once again because everybody's coming up, including Donald Trump. This is why we're getting this is why we're getting so much flack. And we'll have just pay attention. All right, we'll start off with 9/11.
Down into the basement, creating incredible temperatures, 1,100 degrees at the top of the rubble pile 6 weeks later.
Out still on the rubble, it's still, I believe, 1,100 degrees. The guy's boots just melt within a few hours.
And turning up months later as huge chunks of iron and concrete slag. And slowly, other information began to come out, information that proved dramatically and indisputably the true nature of the conspiracy behind this horrible crime. We learned that at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Building 7, a 42-story glass and steel structure located across the street from the World Trade Center, collapsed. It was not hit by any planes at all. It appeared to have suffered only minor damage, but nevertheless it simply fell down in what is clearly and classically a controlled demolition. But you ain't heard nothing yet. Larry Silverstein, the leaseholder of the World Trade Center, accidentally told PBS that he had the building demolished.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, you know, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Outrageous. Simply outrageous. It takes months of preparation and planning to do a controlled demolition like this one. They had to have put these charges in place before September 11th. Larry Silverstein was kind enough to tell us that they demolished this building on September 11th.
And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building.
But who was they? And are we supposed to think that they didn't have explosive charges in place in the Twin Towers? Of course they did. Now, this video is called Justice for 9/11 because we want to see the guilty parties arrested and punished. Silverstein knows who they are. He tried to collect $7 billion from his insurance company for the attacks. He's in league with the killers. And
Welcome back. As you see, the reason why I play this all the time is this is the basic reason why we're at war in Iraq and the reason why Muslims have such a resentment towards America. Because the fact remains that they didn't do this attack. They were blamed for something they didn't do. And we go and upset the whole region on what, Silverstein making $9 billion over the collapse of the 2 World Trade Centers. We see that's an old film, of course. But, you know, with us is Graham Witherspoon, my co-host, and we've got a lot of contradictions here about what America is doing in the Middle East in the first place. So what do you think of seeing that again, Graham? And what I really want you to bring out to people's attentions, what was in Building 7? What were some of the agencies, and in particular the files from
The files from Enron
Enron
were stored there. So that case went nowhere.
Right.
Subsequent to the
Which is a Texas corporation.
the Texas corporation, the big scandal with Bush and his friends that
Right.
were involved in the Enron scandal. It's interesting that during the days of Eisenhower, the slogan was, what's good for General Motors is good for America. What's good for big business is good for the country. Big business has gone awry even prior to the collapse of '08. we had Enron and other companies doing the things that they were doing, not just domestically, but internationally.
Right.
And this
Well,
event...
they were in electricity. They were into
I believe it was a solar hydroelectricity or
Right.
something like that. And the company had imploded long before. They were still selling stocks, and the stocks had no value.
Now, these records were in Building 7.
Right, because
Building 7 was not hit by a plane.
No.
And let it collapse 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's
And
my point.
Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett, one of the largest law firms in New York, which is located at 425 Lexington Avenue, they were the firm, I believe, that was defending Enron in that case. And that firm, they pay Christmas bonuses to their attorneys, even to the new attorneys joining the firm. They may get a $50,000 or $75,000 Christmas bonus, and they've only been there a couple of months. So the kind of money that was being generated behind that case for the attorneys, as well as the things which could not come out publicly, the evidence is wiped out. You know, I was at Ground Zero working on a private contract, and they were saying, "Oh, you can't take pictures. This is a federal crime scene."
Yeah.
But ironically enough, they removed the steel with all the evidence on it, as you saw in the video, the heat, the melted
thermite.
sections from the thermite.
Well, we're going over what
That
we...
was taken away
Yeah.
and shipped
All the evidence.
overseas. So if you're supposed to be gathering evidence, why would you put it on a ship, ship it to Japan, and melt it down to make cars?
Let's
if you were
update
serious.
ourselves. Let's get to the primary source of everybody's attention right now, Donald Trump. And I'm going to play a little piece by him, and then afterwards we're going to play a cleric, which actually talks about his benevolent statement of saving us as people, and we should be bowed to the power of Sharia law, a divine law given by the Muslims. All right? So let's play the Donald Trump first, and then we'll come back to you. All right? Do we have that there?
I love the Muslims. I think they're great people. We problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one.
Right.
You know, we have training camps growing where they want to kill us. That's my question. When can we get rid of
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. Muslim? Oh, absolutely. No problem with it.
Dear Mr. Donald Trump, I'd like to take a minute to introduce you to my father, Raul Almanza. As you so eloquently put it,
problem in this country? It's called Muslim.
What?
Come back. As you see, we have a diverse opinion from Donald Trump and his latest statement of keeping all the Muslims out, immigration-wise. And this is calling an uproar, and we can see from here, we can see what kind of bigot this man has always been. Now, we know him really from the Central Park 5.
Right.
You might mention how he treated us during the Central Park 5 days.
Donald Trump said that all of the defendants should have been dead by 2002, and he would have executed them if he had the opportunity to do it.
And he took out ads.
He took out ads. He was putting up rewards relative to the case. And, you know, we had him and we had Koch. And Koch, the term wolf pack came out of that
That's right.
incident. And even though the individual responsible for that heinous crime and another murder as well
Right.
has come forward,
Mateus
Reyes has come forward, confessed to what he has done. Donald
13
Trump,
years later.
13 years later, Donald Trump, the assistant DA who worked on the case, Linda Fairstein, who's made a lot of money off of this case, and all of the others refused to accept the evidence and the detailed evidence that Reyes was able to bring forward.
And plus
which
his
is,
DNA.
Right, which is why Morgenthau got the wheels rolling to have these 5 men released from prison. Now, God forbid that they were on death row. God forbid that they were executed.
Right.
And this thing comes out later. You know, the system is designed to function, but it's not functioning properly, it's not functioning equitably, and it's oftentimes functioning racially.
It's amazing. All right. Now,
But
we've
Donald
updated
Trump,
the people
yeah.
of Donald Trump. Now, we can see he's going down from here. I
Well,
would
this
think.
is a problem. I saw him on television this morning, and it's interesting that he's not spending any money on his campaign
Yeah.
other than his expenses to fly around and go from place to place. He's not doing commercial ads. He's not doing print ads. The mass media is promoting him to such a degree that he doesn't have to spend money.
Right.
And he's about 30 points ahead in the polls now. And he said this morning that if the Republican Party did not choose him as a candidate,
He's going independent.
he's going to run independent. He doesn't want to. But the fact is that we thought that the Tea Party was crazy, but we see what this guy is about. Another thing, yesterday I was reviewing an article. He has gotten support from the white supremacist
yeah,
groups.
he's telling you that.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
that's
neo-Nazis
fascinating.
and others now are saying Heil Trump, Heil Trump.
How Trump.
And they want him to be their savior. He is their great white hope to bring America back to what they feel it should be. And it's interesting to know, people walking around, I saw students on TV at NYU about some racial incident on the campus where the professors' faces were covered, the black professors' faces were covered. And the students at NYU had said a couple of years ago, with the advent of Barack Obama, they're in a post-racist society. I don't know how ignorant you can be at an
these are
Ivy League
people.
college to make a statement like that,
wow.
and now they find out that they're
Well,
not.
you can hear by Trump's statements, he had President Obama is a Muslim.
Yeah.
And he recently stated, oh, there's something up with this guy that we don't know about. He just leaves all these innuendos and you know.
Well, the issue with the birth certificate, then he wanted to
the
see his grades from Harvard. You know, this guy is the old guard. He's not old enough to be the old guard, but he's like the old guard back in the 50s. And he is giving hope to those Americans who used to say, we need to take back our country.
Right,
Remember, you heard that in the last campaign.
Right.
And this is a very dangerous, he is beyond the Tea Party.
Right.
You know,
He
and
is.
Ryan now, he has his hands
Yeah,
full.
you hear Ryan come out and
He has his hands full because the
Yeah.
party is now going to have to go overtly against their
Well,
leading
I say this is a
candidate.
gift to the Democrats, to us as a people. He's finally bringing out exactly how racist this country really is. It's amazing how many people take note to Donald Trump and put him on top. I mean, the media, the way they're covering him, they save him all kind of money. But I think eventually he's going to show his real, true self. As
Well, if
we
he
know
hasn't, what else?
I mean, all right, well, here, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to go turn to the Muslim side of it. And I have a cleric, a Muslim cleric that talks about us as a world turning to Shia law, which is the divine law of Allah. All right, let's play this piece and we can see how the ISIS folks feel about us.
Mr. Chowdhury, I'm Kathleen Parker, and I have a question for you. If I understood you correctly, you said a bit ago that you support any Muslim doing the work of a Muslim. Can you describe exactly what you mean by the work of a Muslim?
Yes, I believe that Islam is submission And that applies to every aspect of our life, whether in our relationship with our families, our relationship with the society, even the way that we address people and invite them to Islam. Jihad is not something which, you know, the Muslims are permanently engaged in. But there is jihad to liberate Muslim land, which is an obligation for the Muslims to support, verbally, financially, and physically, to liberate and to defend our life and our property. And of course, this is something, you know, the Muslims around the world, I don't think will differ with. They may say one thing to you in front of CNN, but I can assure you, behind your backs, in every masajid, in every community center, they are standing with their Muslim brothers and sisters saying, we hope the Americans and British are pushed out of our countries and we can implement the Sharia. So this is an Islamic obligation for us to support our brothers around the world. Our land is one, our war is one, our peace is one, our honor is one. But we don't need to be in a constant state of this flux of, you know, a cycle of violence. I think that we can have a decent relationship. You withdraw your troops, stop supporting the pirate state of Israel, and then perhaps we can have a dialogue and discussion. These warnings are there in the statements of Sheikh Osama bin Laden, Sheikh Ayman al-Zawahiri, you know, Adam Ghaddan. You know, why is the American establishment not taking heed? I think that is the real question.
But you also want to impose Sharia law where you live. Does that mean that, does the work of a Muslim mean imposing Sharia law on everyone who is not a Muslim, including Americans?
Look, the Sharia law is the divine law sent by God to the final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is justice for mankind. It will take mankind out of the shackles of man-made law into the perfection and beauty of divine law. So of course I want that everywhere. I want to share that with you. Surely it's a very noble thing to invite someone to a superior way of life. You know, if I believe that people are being oppressed, why should I not invite them to come out of that oppression? I believe that the Americans, the British, and indeed most of the world have been living in the darkness of the hegemony and the exploitation of man-made law for many, many decades. But, you know, when we open the door, when we shine the light, people don't like the light. But, you know, I think you'll find that when people actually have a look at Islam, when they look at the Sharia, they will see that it in fact has a solution for every single problem that is facing America and Britain nowadays, you know, from the inflation to the credit crunch to the exploitation.
Mr. Chowdhury, are you communicating with individuals in the United States and encouraging them to participate in attacks of this sort?
Of course I am. You know, I am participating in communication with people all around the world. As you know, the internet makes the world a very small place. You know, we have a lot of support, in fact, post-Wootton Bassett from people as far as afield as Indonesia, from India.
Mr. Chowdhury, based upon your answer, I believe, and I'm sure many prosecutors will listen to your answer, you have violated U.S. law. You deserve to be arrested, prosecuted, jailed for the rest of your life. That is what you, sir, deserve. You're a violent and heinous terrorist.
I would say to you, well, you can use as much pejorative
as far as we're concerned, sir.
You can use as much pejorative as you wish. But my invitation is a peaceful one to people to embrace Islam and to warn them, obviously, of the consequences of occupying Muslim land. I think that's a very decent thing. If we said to you, look, there's not going to be any consequence by people attacking Muslims, then you know,
sir.
I think that would be not a very honourable thing to say.
Generations from now, we will be able to look back and tell our children that this was the moment when we began to provide care for the sick and good jobs for the jobless. This was the moment when the rise of the ocean began to slow and our planet began to heal. This was the moment when we ended the war and secured our nation and restored our image as the last best hope on earth.
Now, that's from CNN. Now, obviously, they put Obama on there insinuating that he's a Muslim. So he, see how the lies are told? From 9/11, we opened up with the biggest lie. You know, 9/11 being an inside job. Now, they've turned on all the Muslims. Now, the Muslims come back and say, either come to us, we have a superior way for you to live through our divine Sharia law, through Allah. Now, if you don't like it, whether you're Muslim or not, we'll kill you. Now, what kind of madness have we come into in the 21st century? The 21st century beginning with 9/11. That's a good one, huh?
I was listening to a speech. I can't remember this woman's name. She's from Lebanon. Gabrielle, I can't remember her first name. But she, as a Christian living in Lebanon in the 70s, her home was bombed by the Muslims, and they were bombing the homes of the Christians in Lebanon.
In the 70s?
In the 70s, 1975, long before all this crap. But she said in her lecture, she said, you don't understand these people. And she said, whomever is the next president of the United States, she says, I'm not talking Democrat, Republican. She says, I'm not talking the politics. I'm not promoting any party. She said, but whoever is the next president better know and understand what I'm going to be talking about, and they better know it frontwards and backwards and inside out. And she said, Americans don't know history, and she's right about that. They don't know their own history, let alone the history of the world.
Okay.
So she went into the history of Muhammad, the prophet,
Right.
and Muhammad the warrior, and the changes that he made in his approach and his presentation of Islam over the years. She said, you all don't know anything about this because you don't study.
So
And
this cleric is well known throughout the Muslim world with his thoughts?
yeah, his name is Chowdhury. I don't know him, but the name Chowdhury is not an Arabic name. It's from India or Pakistan, in that region.
Yeah, it
Chowdhury.
sounds like, yeah, Chowdhury.
Now, there are Muslims all across the world. There are Muslims throughout Russia. They're all
1.6
over the
billion.
world. There are more Muslims than any other
25%
religious
of the
group
planet
of people.
Muslim. Okay.
So what he is saying is exactly what she was saying that we need to understand.
Okay.
They will say one thing to you, she's
So
saying.
tell me this. So the people in California believe what Chowdhury was saying?
Evidently, you're talking about the shooting,
The shooting
in San
in
Bernardino.
San Bernardino.
Evidently so. And which takes me to another point. Going back to Trump and with Barack Obama. Trump said they're going to build a wall along the border of Mexico.
Right.
You know, he said they don't need a wall along Canada. That's a 5,000-mile wall. But there are Muslims in Canada, far more Muslims in Canada.
Right.
If you're going to talk about Muslims, you
Right.
build a wall in Canada, not in Mexico. The Muslims are not coming from Mexico. They are coming across the border from Canada. And then let's look at another thing. This woman cleared immigration. She cleared ICE coming from Pakistan. The U.S. military did their, not military, immigration did their investigation in conjunction with the Pakistani government. And she came here to wed her husband and have the baby. Conversely, President Obama wants to bring 10,000 refugees from Syria here. Well, if they did a background check on the young woman from Pakistan with the assistance of the Pakistan government, and she turned around, she and her husband wound up killing 14 people and wounding another 17 or 18 people. What investigation was done compared to the zero information you can get from the Syrian government, because there is no system for you to confer with. So, unfortunately, the president's program to bring Syrians here, we wouldn't know who we're bringing into the country.
So you go along with Trump?
We had this problem years ago. We lived through this before. Fidel Castro shipped all of his people here. He emptied his jails and sent people here. And we had a crazy crime wave back in the early 80s. And the Cubans that came here, they had various tattoos on their arms identifying the type of crime that they were involved in. And they all said to me, oh, we can do Rikers Island, that's a joke. That's a picnic center. You see, so we can't, we have created the mess.
So you go along with Trump and keeping all Muslims out?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the people from Syria.
What about the people that are backing Trump, the Nazis that you mentioned?
Right, that's
the white supremacists.
That's enough. See, we have our own ingrown problems.
Yeah.
We have our own. Terrorism is nothing new. We need to understand that's been the American dynamic from the time these people got off the boat in 1620. They terrorized the people, the indigenous people in New York were slaughtered at the same site of 9/11. They were slaughtered by Peter Stuyvesant, and their bodies were thrown in the Hudson River in the 1600s. Babies, women were disemboweled, their children were plucked from their abdomens and thrown into the river. And Peter Stuyvesant, as the governor of New Amsterdam, they passed a law saying that the quote-unquote Indians could not take up reprisals against the Dutch settlers for what they had done.
Well, I'm going to update us, and the most The worst domestic crime I've seen in a while is Dylan Ruth. And I want to take a personal profile on this young man. This young man had black friends. He was very quiet. He stepped into a church, and after church was over, people were bending down praying. He had been in there an hour, listening to all this spiritual energy, and people being accepting and loving to this young man. Turned around and killed 9 people. Now, what kind of madness is that? We talk about these Muslims living amongst us for 2 or 3 years and planning this Sharia law takeover, and yet we've got a homegrown 21-year-old white person, a white boy, who turned on a Baptist church, the oldest AME church in America. Now, what kind of domestic terrorism are we dealing with here? Nobody's talking about Dylan Ruth. Now, why not? And this is something that goes back in our history 400 years, the persecution that we've been under. And you don't see us blowing up innocent people. I mean, blacks have the biggest beef on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. But let's take a look at Dylan Ruth. And I want you to give me, now we're going to do a call, and all the rowdies out there, and I know you're going to have a lot to say, because I've been preaching peace and love, but I ain't no chump either, all right? And you might think that, but I present the truth as I see it. That's why it's called the Gilchrist Experience, all right? So let's play Dylan Ruth, and I want you to give me your opinion. We're going to do a call-in again. And all you rowdies, get ready. You can say what you want to say. I mean, all right. All right, let's play.
Where did he stop when he was here? He would just...
He'd be secret right here. So I'll give you guys, I'll show you guys the Dylan Lake. The Dylan Lake.
So he would just crash out?
Yeah, just like that.
What's your reaction to the news about Dylan?
Like, that he actually did everything he said he was going to do. And I don't feel no different today than I felt about him before he did this stuff. Like I said, who's to say Dylan was in his right mind? Nobody knows what anybody go through.
Was Dylan ignorant? Was he racist?
No. Like, everybody's making him out to be racist, but here I am in front of you today as a black man and telling you I look at him no different today than what I looked at him last week. Because he never said anything racist to me, never treated me any different than he treated Justin.
You said at the beginning of the interview that at one point he might have said something, but you didn't remember it. What did you mean by that?
Like he told us that he was not, that church wasn't his primary target at all. That's why my heart goes out to those 9 families, because you guys weren't the targets.
What does that mean?
He wanted to shoot that school up, UCA, University of Charleston. It's 3 miles up the street from that church.
He told you he wanted to attack the school.
Yeah, he had no intentions on harming those people in that church.
Can you just tell me more about when he told you this?
We were on our way to the river. It was on a Wednesday because we dropped them off at the lake. So he was like, he's going to shoot the school up. And I was like, what? And he just stopped talking about it. He never said anything else about it. He was just like, they all got 7 days to live. Who knows? Like, how many friends do you have that's killed 9 people within this week? So how do you take it serious?
As close as possible, can you remember what words he used to say what he said?
That I'm gonna shoot up. That I want to shoot the university up, and they all got 7 days to live. And on Wednesday he did it. He shot that church up.
Did he give you a reason as to why he said he might want to do that?
No reason. I just think it all boils down to his childhood. Him and his parents aren't on good terms. Like I said, without the support of your parents, you'll do things that you wouldn't think you do.
When he mentioned the school, did he have a grudge against the school in the past or anything like that?
I don't even know if he knew anybody at the school. Like he had no grudge. He wasn't an angry person.
And he never mentioned the church before either?
Never. Like, I've never heard him say anything racist. I've never heard him say anything about hurting black people, and specifically black people only. Not once.
Now, I hope you're as amazed as I am, because that always befuddled me. I mean, that's very strange that this young man, 21 years old, noted with, who was taking the pictures of him with the Confederate flag? How was he so brainwashed to think that blacks were taking over? At 21, he spent the last 6 or 7 years with Obama as president, who, according to Donald Trump, is a Muslim. And you see this racism so heavy in South Carolina. For him to walk into a church when his best friends was black and had no indication of what he was up to. Now, detective, break that one down for us.
Well, I have a question with regard to the quote-unquote friends. They obviously knew that he had firearms.
But he said he was after the school.
Yeah, but the point is, he said a week before that he was going to do something. And these two guys sat back and said nothing to anyone.
But he said he wasn't hateful. He was a quiet guy. They didn't believe him.
They didn't believe him. If you know I own firearms, and I say I'm going out and shoot somebody, or I'm going up to the school and kill some people, the probability is that I have the capability and the propensity to commit that act if you know that I own firearms.
Right, okay.
Right? It's not like saying, I'm going to go out and punch him in the nose, or, you know, I could kill that guy for what he said. You know, people say that all the time. But the fact that a fellow owns firearms.
And we got 2 callers already.
And you know it, and you sit back and say nothing.
Hey, would you screen these guys? No nuts,
Excuse
okay?
me. You sit back, listen to what he says, and then have the audacity to sit in front of a camera and talk about what you knew beforehand, which could have saved the lives of people. They're as responsible for the crime.
So where was he supposed to go? Go warn the school that they had a friend that...
They should have called the police.
Something. But there's no rhyme or reason why he went to the church, unless he was directed. I thought you would come up with more of a conspiracy theory about some racist group that set this kid up.
No, I'm not saying that. The boy said...
Don't you think that's what happened?
Not necessarily. The boy said...
You think he did this on his own?
You want me to answer the question? The
Maybe,
guy said he
I
had
don't know.
problems with his family, the issues that he had with his family. The young fellow believed that because of his family being torn apart, the father was in another state, whatever it was, that this had a bearing on him in some way or another. He said the guy never made a racist statement to him, never castigated him for being black or anything.
Right.
So, no, he didn't see it as something racial. But we don't know the answer because where is Dylan?
Well, I'd like to hear from Dylan. All right, let's hear what you got to say. Hope it's something friendly.
Hotep.
Identify yourself first.
The basis of we.
Identify yourself.
Yes, my name is Mr. Latang. I'm from Harlem.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to touch on something Graham Witherspoon just touched on. The young man was supposed to be arrested. If you notice, they let the black young man do all the speaking and implicating himself, because he basically indicted himself to know that his friend was about to commit a crime and spoke nothing of it.
Right.
On top of it, I find it odd that his mindset is so genuinely brainwashed to believe that this white guy has love for him and black people, that he's such entrenched in stupidity. Like, where's this young man's lawyer that they would let him speak? Where's his family? You can tell by the way his overall tone. His belief is that the boy wasn't wrong.
I didn't see that at all.
Well,
I didn't see that at all.
It is obvious.
The kid is confused.
He does know for a fact. He knew for a fact that a crime was about to be committed. All right? And he did nothing to stop it. Nothing whatsoever. But the thing was that he didn't say he was going to the church.
That's the problem.
He said he was going to the school. And he didn't understand why or what caused him to even go to the church.
All right. My point was that I was just amazed that this young man was friendly with black people. The way he spoke about, and I'm just wondering how many other white kids are out there brainwashed like this. That's what I'm more curious about. Never mind the young black guys. He was just bewildered that he did such a thing. That's what I saw. All right, next caller, please.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Speak. Who are you?
Good afternoon.
This is Rod, Mr. Gilchrist. You know me as son of MJQ.
Oh, I haven't heard from you in a while.
How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing, brother?
Okay.
First of all, I want you to know that you and my father, the late Connie K, share the same birthday.
April 27th?
April 27th. My father was born in 1927.
Who? Milt Jackson?
No, Connie K, the drummer.
Connie K, the drummer, right. Connie K and I are born on the same day?
Same day. So
Is that right?
the next time, when your birthday comes up, make sure you play those tapes, okay?
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's funny.
This is what I want to say about what you guys have been talking about. First of all, one of the things that set off Dylan Roof was the fact that he was trying to talk to some white girl. And eventually it was between him and a black guy. And the black guy wound up winning the girl over, and he was on the outside looking in. That's one of the things that set it off.
Where'd you get this from?
This was when the shootings first happened, when he was taking pictures with the Confederate flag and everything. That report also surfaced that he had lost communication with a girl that he was trying to romance to a black guy.
Oh, my God.
That's one of the things that set him off. Trust me, Mr. Gilchrist, I wouldn't lie to you.
Wow.
Second of all, Donald Trump. People better be careful of what they wish for, because a vote for Donald Trump is like voting for Archie Bunker.
No, worse.
So you know, if you remember, the Republicans were trying to keep Hillary out the White House. Their thing is much bigger, much greater. We know racism travels in very large numbers, and people that have never voted in the past will come out and vote for this man in huge numbers. Spike Lee, the other night, said that he was in the White House, and he saw the box with the red button on it, and he said he doesn't want Donald Trump anywhere near that box.
Yeah.
You know, because this guy would have us in all kinds of wars. Remember, this man is for the right to bear arms, and he says that every time a mass shooting happens, his numbers go up.
Yeah.
So we hope that this next debate will be, as they say in Cheers, the last call for him, because these, you know, it's remember also that the only things that separates the devil and evil is the letter D, and we have to be vigilant, and we have to be careful of what's coming, because we know the Confederate states will vote for Trump in a heartbeat.
You ready to believe that?
And oh yeah, because listen, anybody that sings a Confederate flag on a Christmas card will vote for Donald Trump in a heartbeat. So we have to be very careful. We got to be very vigilant, because we don't want this. Listen, if this guy running the country would be like the Twilight Zone on crack.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen. Really.
Well, I don't think so either, but
I don't think we have that many.
Stranger things have happened, my brother.
Well,
so we got to be vigilant.
No, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think people are waiting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for calling. But I think people are waking up. Yeah, Trump is going to bury himself. People, I don't think anybody is that crazy to vote for Trump.
No,
I really don't.
There are a lot of people.
Crazy people.
Not just crazy people.
Racist.
There are people that look at this in an economic way. And you got to remember, this country runs on
money.
Money.
Yeah.
And anything that'll put money in their pockets, they're for. All right?
That's war.
A guy like Donald Trump, sure, you'll be embroiled in a war in a minute behind this guy. And the people that are behind that structure.
Well, how about people listening to this cleric that we just heard on here?
Well, look there. You've got people that are listening to the cleric.
Yeah.
And you've got people that are listening to Trump.
Yeah.
All right? So everybody's beating the drum and fanning the flame.
Yeah.
All right? Now you have people that have run out to buy handguns because they're afraid, you know.
Of course.
For you to
and
be...
these people out in California set anybody off.
For you to be a victim of one of those incidents is like hitting lotto. Those are your odds. So, yes, people are running out and buying guns. San Bernardino, they've just about run out of guns. But the thing is this, if there is an incident, you're going to have people responding and shooting. You will have more people getting shot by their fellow Americans than you will getting shot or injured by some terrorist act.
Okay.
Carrying a gun is not just simply going down to the range, getting a license and putting a gun on your hip. You've got to know what to do and when to do it. And the people that are running around with these guns out here, they don't know. They don't know any more than the gangbangers running around. All right? Having a gun, people will generally freeze up in a given situation.
Okay.
In an emergency, they will freeze up and they're hesitant to make a move, or they'll overreact and they'll just be shooting wild, and they're not going to hit their target. They're going to hit somebody else. We can't have everybody running around with a gun, brandishing a gun, and talking about I'm standing my ground or anything else.
That's crazy.
All right? I've been carrying a gun for over 40 years. Over 40 years.
How many times have you've never killed anybody?
I've never killed anybody. I've never pulled the trigger. And I've had many justifiable moments in bank robberies, rapes, to just go out and end that individual.
Well, you're an exception to the rule.
Right.
Let's hear. All right. No crazies, please. All right. Next caller, please. Identify yourself.
Yes.
We have two.
From Harlem, Brother I want to say big ups to Brother Gilchrist and Brother Weatherspoon. How are you?
Thank you. Fine. Thank you yourself.
Good, good. And I want to say my heart goes out, or not my heart, but I really felt your passion last week, Brother Gilchrist, as far as you was talking about these crazy drug dealers and all that. But I do want to stay on topic as far as I really felt your passion last week. I wish I could have called in. But as far as Trump, all these people, I'm not going to get caught up. I'm just going to ride the wave. I'm going to listen to what you guys have to say. I really think you guys have really great predictions. Everything that you guys have said so far has come to pass, and so I'm going to stick behind you. But my question to you guys is, how is this going to affect the Chicago ordeal with Rahm Emanuel? I know it's going to be a major stain in Obama's legacy. But how is it going to affect the next presidential election? Because I think this is going to be a big one. I want to say, Brother Weatherspoon, thank you for your insight. You're amazing. And Brother Gilchrist, I love you, and be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brother. Yeah, absolutely.
Answer to that. Now I looked at Manuel this morning, and he supposedly had tears in his eyes. But I truly believe that Obama must have gave him a call and said, you better clean this garbage up. I mean, but seeing this kid shot down the way he was shot down, and them hiding it for a year, there's no rhyme or reason for that. Now, you would think that we go crazy, but we can't go crazy about that kind of stuff. And go see Chirac. By Spike Lee, I say Chirac because it's about females withholding sex. But the situation, I lost my train of thought.
Chicago.
What is he going to do about Chicago? He has to do something. I heard him this morning. He tearfully talked about people losing their life. Obviously, the parents of this young man were in such a distraught, agonizing, to watch your kid be murdered like that. Now, obviously, there was something wrong with, I heard he was high off angel dust, but he was no threat to anybody. Why can't these police, and then there was another video come out with somebody else being shot as they were going into the park. I saw the DA bring out all this evidence and justification for this kid being shot in the back. And what happened to shooting somebody in the leg and wounding him? And why do you have deadly force when every time you're in a situation like that?
Roy Rogers and Dale Evans are not on television
Yeah, but
anymore.
I mean, but this 14 bullets when the man's down on the ground is obnoxious.
Right. In terms of shooting people in the leg, we're not trained to do that. Deadly physical force is just that. And there are only specific times when it is to be used. We don't shoot people in the legs. That's why it's called deadly physical force. We shoot to center mass where the organs are.
Maybe that needs to be changed.
Let me explain. You can only shoot a person for specific reasons. You can't shoot a person because they're running away from you. You can't. You can't. It's illegal, all right? There are specific moments when that can be used, and only in those specific moments. The problem that we have is that the DAs have often been corrupt across the country.
Okay.
Across the country.
When it comes to police officers.
When it comes to police officers in the bad shootings. There are shootings that you never hear about.
Of course.
Because there's no question with regard to the shooting.
Right.
But in the bad ones, like Brown, they didn't put this case out in Chicago because of the Brown case going on at the same time. You've had major incidents.
Right.
All right? And what they obviously doing, they ran the cover-up because of what was going on with regard to Brown. So they don't want two incidents going on.
And plus the mayoral race.
Right. So now, here we saw the officer said, oh, he was in danger and the video doesn't show. We didn't have video years ago. So it was the cops' word. Now they have video, even in going back to Rodney King, and they're trying to tell you you're not seeing what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We're not as dumb as some of these people look.
Mm-hmm.
That young man was moving away. You can see the center line in the video, and he's moving to the right of the center line on the diagonal when he's shot. And you can see the hits because you see puffs off of his body. That's blood splatter. That's not dust coming off of his clothes. That's blood splatter in the video, all right? What they did, the cover-up, McCarthy, the superintendent of police, he came from NYPD. He was arrested when he was here. He was arrested in Rockland County for assault, and they let him keep his job. Ray
the
Kelly.
guy that was just
Yeah.
fired out in Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray Kelly let him keep his job. Okay?
What was he arrested for?
Assault.
Assault.
In Rockland County, at a delicatessen in Rockland County.
It wasn't a black person.
I don't remember, but it was over a parking space or something. Beat a guy up.
Ah,
He was
I
arrested.
remember that. I remember that.
He left NYPD. He retired to take a position in Newark. We went to Newark. 100 Blacks went to Newark to advise the city council in Newark not to hire this guy because he was bad news.
Okay.
He went to Newark. Newark got screwed up. He left Newark. Where did he go? He
Chicago.
bounced over to Chicago.
And they weren't forewarned about him?
Hey, you're asking me? But the thing is this. Some of the most ill-prepared people can get a position based upon the color of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
When you as a black man or a black woman have to perform 10 times higher than they perform just to get something on par.
Yeah.
So here this guy goes to Chicago, and you have this cover-up. And he cannot say he did not know. He's the chief of the department. When we have a major shooting, all right, when I had a homicide or anything like that, I had to brief the chief of detectives in the morning and the chief of the department. They want to know, what's the story? All right? If a shooting goes down at 1 o'clock in the morning, I have to have paperwork gathered to give them a briefing in the morning when they come in. This guy can't say he didn't know there was a cover-up. He's part and parcel of the problem.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And to see how this boy was gunned down. These
He didn't
people
want to show any- he didn't
these
want
people
anybody to see
take
that.
better care of their animals.
He didn't want anybody to see that.
All right? Take better care of their animals than
Imagine
they
what the
afford a
audio
black
sounds
person.
like. No, what happened if we heard the audio? Oh, we have another caller? I'm sorry.
Two callers.
Two callers. All right, did you screen them? Yes, what is the question about? They are sane, right? All right, sane caller. Let's hear your, I'm sorry, hope you're a friend.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to say something about Trump. Like, he calls himself a red-blooded American, but if you check his DNA, he doesn't have one drop of American in him. You know, those Mexicans got more Americans in their DNA than he does. You know what I mean? So he can't call himself a red-blooded American, and he don't have one drop of American in his DNA. You know, if he's good at building, he needs to build something. Don't try to kick and talk about people that belong here when you're not even a real American yourself in your DNA.
Well, there is no DNA for an American.
Yes, there is. Americans you have American DNA from Indian Americans. American Indian DNA.
My
Yes,
brother,
you do.
they are not Indians. Indians are in India. They're not Indians.
I'm saying you got indigenous DNA, you're indigenous to the Americans. He's not indigenous to the Americans.
The Americans, and this is where I'm going, brother.
And his second wife is a cokehead.
What I'm saying,
Look at him.
they are not Americans. America is a misnomer.
All right, thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. We have a next caller, please.
Hey, Winston Gilchrist, how you doing, brother?
All right.
All right, how are you?
This is
Brother Frazier from Harvard.
Ah, Frazier, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Always tuning in.
Okay.
Yeah, Graham, thank you too, man, for your insight, man. Thank you for all your insight.
Thank you.
A question about the DA. Can you tell me, I'm curious, who or what entity is directly supersedes the DA?
The Attorney General of the state of New York.
Okay. Now, that would be the individual that could or may come down on them for a legitimate reason in a law-abiding way. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now, you know, it just always seems to be not an impossible task, but an insurmounting task by our particularly people of color administration to move on this venture. They just don't want to move on it. So I'm not going to go too on with it. We know what the problem is. We've been conned. We've been misinformed. We got the wrong information about almost everything. And then when you decompose this con, people that hear it, that know the con, try to make you into a psychotic buffoon, even our own brethren. And I'm not going to name no names, but our own brethren will call each other a buffoon because you found out the con game that's getting us killed right now. See? We can go back, Martin, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey. We've been conned. So right now, we're going to come out of the con, fellas. It's because we're waking up. And Donald Trump knows that. That's why his ugly face is in our face, because he knows us brothers uptown are waking up. He knows that. He knows it. So, fellas, man, you know, I love you both, man. You know, Gilchrist, I love and respect you too, man. I'm glad you're here on TV doing this because we have this, and we're going to unravel this whole con game. Thank you, brother. Peace and love.
Peace. Yesterday there was a meeting with Attorney General Eric Snyderman with a number of individuals in Brooklyn, clergy and politicians regarding the establishment of the Special Prosecutor's Office.
Mm-hmm.
And he will be investigating all police shootings of a questionable nature. Brooklyn DA Ken Thompson is opposed to that, but it's not about Ken Thompson. It's about protecting the general public from these other DAs who are failing to advocate on behalf of the victims. We had a meeting last week in Brooklyn at Ken Thompson's office with the chief of his civil rights unit. And I was there with Nicholas Hayward, Sr., regarding the shooting of his son 21 years ago, which
Oh,
was a
okay.
case that
Right,
the housing
right.
cop, and keep in mind, this was a black housing cop that killed his son. He had a little plastic rifle about that long.
Can we get him on the show?
Certainly, he is coming.
All right.
And the rifle was brown with an orange, about 5 inches of orange on the end of the rifle. And the police officer said, "Oh, I thought I was in danger," and he shot the kid. And the kid said, "We're just playing cops and robbers," and he shot him. So Charles Hines did not put that case before a grand jury 21 years ago.
So it's coming up
And
now?
Ken Thompson and his people have agreed to look into this case to see if they can bring this case before a grand jury and take it to trial. But the problem, the records, and I've reviewed some of the material, there appears to be a plot back then to protect this officer in this shooting. And I'm not going to get into it all now, but we've had a serious sit down with Ken Thompson's office and presented some material to them.
That's going back
And
21 years.
Going back 21 years, but his office is looking into this case that should have been examined by Charles Hines 21 years ago.
You ruined it for the last caller. I'm sorry, last caller. We don't have time. We've got about a minute and a half to go, and I'm sure you're going to take much longer than...
Well, let him give him a shot.
You want to say hello and goodbye?
Can do that. But I watch your show, so I'll catch you again.
All right. What was the question?
Go ahead.
Quick comment was the terrorists in this country. The terrorists in this country don't have Muslim names.
Right.
They have names like Daniel Pantaleo, like Michael Oliver.
Amen.
Like Stephen Soul. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Beautiful.
Thank you much. And I appreciate both of you gentlemen for everything you're doing.
Thank you for the call.
All right. Thank you. That's right.
Domestic terrorism has been around a long time.
That was the whole theme of the show here. I always bring up 9/11 because it always baffles me how people don't talk about 9/11 and Silverstein and how he made $9 billion out of this. I mean, he actually insured the two buildings 6 months before. I mean, he didn't own it. He owned it he leased it for less than a year.
Right.
He didn't even own it. He leased it. So how much money did he put up for this? And he got a $9 billion insurance payment. Something's awry there, and nobody's investigating that. And this whole 9/11, and what bothers me the most is watching the firemen. If you ever fought fires, I was on a ship for 2 years.
Yep.
I was in the Marine Corps, but I went on a ship for 2 years, and I learned how to fight fires. If you ever been a fireman, to know that you're rushing into a building, and then they're sending them blow it up on you. Come on, that's an affront to our heroes. I mean, those are our Marines. They're going in there to save lives, man. That's where my sympathy goes on. And then they go down there.
They don't want to give them the health coverage.
They don't want to give them the money
Right.
for the health problem they were having. That's McConnell down in the Senate.
Right.
So, they don't take care of us. And domestic terrorism reigns supreme here in America. Just stay tuned, and we'll come back at you. The God in me loves the God in you, and stay tuned next week. Power to the people, and God bless you.
We
Stay
got to
tuned.
give more power to the people.
Power to the people.